Hello. So I am just going to go ahead and get started. I am sure that people are going to pop on while I'm starting, but I don't want to waste any of your time today. And I want to make sure I get through this. So I'm really excited about this class because it's a little bit different than what you are normally used to hearing from me, which is strategy pieces, right? Like the how to's. This is how we, you know, get the success, get the money. We have to do these particular things. But as you know, it also involves being. And being really is the ultimate factor in all of this because we have plenty of strategy, we have plenty of information. There is actually an unlimited amount of information, especially when it comes to YouTube and all of the resources that we have. So, we are going to dive deep into the subconscious blocks that are holding you back from really truly having what you want, even though it may seem like I'm doing all of the things. I am following my coach's advice. I am doing the strategies. I'm showing up. I'm being visible. So, why am I not there yet? And the things that I'm going to share with you today are things that are probably not the thing that you think of first when you think of what's holding you back. When you think of what's holding you back, you probably come up with a bunch of things that are it could be this, it could be that, it could be my messaging, it could be my strategy. Maybe I'm not showing up enough. Maybe I'm just not thinking, the right way. Maybe I need to manifest more. Maybe I need to meditate more, right? So we have all of these things. So with these subconscious beliefs, these are things that are, as the name of the masterclass suggests, they're hidden. They're not the things that you are normally thinking about on a day to day basis. It has just become your way of operating. And so with that, we are diving into it was supposed to be 9 hidden wealth blockers, but I actually have 10 for you guys. So we got a little bonus one here and really breaking through the barriers holding you back from your next level of wealth. So before I get into that, those of you who are new here with me, this is a little bit of a different platform than Zoom, but it pretty much works the same way. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have any aha moments as I'm speaking and sharing these things, you can pop that right in the chat if there's room at the end. And if there's questions at the end, I will also answer those questions as well. I would definitely suggest having some sort of notebook or even just the notes on your phone to write some of these things down because I am going to guess that you have at least one, but I'm guaranteeing that you probably have at least two or three, or maybe even more of these subconscious blocks stopping you from really achieving what you want to achieve. And with that, I want you to write it down. I want you to write down anything that resonates because the entire point of this masterclass is to bring a crazy awareness to these things. Now, because they're subconscious and they're things that are kind of happening underneath and there are things that are happening hidden, it's again not something that we're fully aware of all of the time. So by, me shining a spotlight on it and you being able to really be like, wow, I didn't even realize that this thing was happening. Right now, you have an awareness around it. Now that you have the awareness around it, you're able to mitigate it. You're able to change it. You're able to, pay attention to these things even more so that you can basically do the opposite of whatever it is and start making shit happen in your business. So I'm super excited for this. There's no slides for today. I typically don't do slides when I do anything around mindset because really I want this to feel more like a conversation. I do have some notes and stuff like that to make sure that I get all of these 10 to you, but there's no slides. So it's just going to be me having this conversation with you. Like I said, if you have anything that you want to contribute to the conversation, if you have any breakthroughs, any questions, just pop them in the chat or we will have a little open discussion at the end. All right. So let's get into what are these hidden money blocks that are quite literally like capping your income. So even if you're doing well, right? Like there was times when I was doing really, really well in my business, but I still wasn't at the level that I wanted to be, or I had created a next level for myself and I wasn't able to hit that. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, how did I get this far? How did I make this much money? But now that I have this new goal in sight, now that I have this thing, why can't I reach it? Right. And this happened for a while for me. And it was just kind of like, this infamous number, this elusive number that I just couldn't get to. I was able to hit numbers that most people weren't, But at the same time, when I up leveled myself and I set my sights on a new goal, it was like almost impossible for me to hit that number. So this isn't just, if you're not making money or if you're struggling, like this happens at every single stage, which is why the awareness around it is so powerful because then you can catch yourself and be like, oh, this is what's actually happening. Let's go ahead and reverse that. Let's fix that. Let's clear the energy around that. And then you can move on and really start to break through these barriers that are capping your current income. Okay. So the reality is that you are not stuck because you're not working hard enough. I imagine that most of you that are here with me are really hard workers. You're ambitious, you love to work, you love what you do, and you're putting in the work. You're being visible, you're being consistent, you're doing the actual things. So if you're doing the actual things that are, being taught or doing the actual things that you have created for yourself, then why is it that you're not where you want to be, right? You're stuck because of these invisible patterns, the habits, the beliefs, and they're just basically keeping you at the same level, most likely because it's safe. It feels safe. Even though it's not what you ultimately want, it feels comfortable, it feels safe. So you stay playing in this zone that keeps you in the same identity, it keeps you in the same place that you've always been. And that's why you're not able to grow further or past what you have done. This is particularly helpful for those of you that maybe are experiencing a plateau. So maybe you're doing pretty well, but it's like it's just always the same amount, right? So let's say like you're always hitting six figures, you're or barely hitting six figures, 5K months, 10K months, and that seems to be pretty consistent. But when you set your sights on a goal like 20K months or 30K months, that just feels so impossible that your mind shuts down and is just like, no, we're just going to keep you right here because this feels safe. This feels comfortable and you're good here, right? You are good here. So we're going to keep you right here. So when we talk about these 10 things today, it really is going to be about digging through that and finding out how we can break through. Now, these I am going to, when I talk about these, they are going to be more business related. However, I do want you to be aware that it could also be things that are happening in your personal life that are directly affecting how you're showing up in your business, right? Because it's all related. So if you think like, oh no, I take risks in my business and I do these certain things in my business. Yeah, maybe in your business, but is there another part of your life or your lifestyle or your relationship where you're not doing that thing? And, being in that place on your personal side is actually directly affecting your business. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. And like I said, I kind of want you to write these down so that way you understand and know what they are. And then also you can fix them, right? You can actively fix them, actively look at, this is what's happening. Here's how to mitigate that. So, number one is risk aversion. So, this is you really just having a fear, right? Some sort of fear around making a move, about making a decision, about doing something that feels a little bit scary, feels a little bit outside of your comfort zone, right? The people that are really successful, the people that are making the most money, aren't necessarily the most talented. And you have probably experienced that. You probably are like, what the heck? Like, I'm better than that person. I do a better job. My courses are better. Why are they so successful? And why am I still here? And the reason is because the reward doesn't always go to who has the most talent, right? The reward typically goes to the one who is the bravest, the one who has the most courage, the ones who are really willing to take that calculated risk. And the literal definition of an entrepreneur, those of you that are here with me, is a person who operates a business taking a greater than normal risk in order to do so. So if you're avoiding risk in your business, you're also avoiding that big reward. So before I get too ahead of myself, I do want you, like I said, to write these down so that you can really understand which ones are, say, okay, I have number one, I have number three, and I have number 10. Like these are the ones that I'm really going to focus on fixing over the next month, the next 6 months. So just make sure that you're doing that. And I would also just like to hear from you too, like, okay, oh my gosh, this is totally me. That's what I do all the time. So risk aversion, being afraid to make bold moves, being afraid to make risky decisions. Like I said, you're also avoiding the biggest rewards because the biggest rewards go to those people who aren't afraid to just make the moves. Playing it safe also leads to stagnation. So if you're feeling like a little bit of funk in your business, or you feel plateaued, or you feel stagnant, it's probably because of this, right? Because doing more of what's normal or doing more of what's comfortable isn't going to result in a big aha or a big breakthrough or a big quantum leap. It's just not. You're just going to continue in this space, and then eventually you are going to feel stagnant, especially if you're someone who is very type A, very, ambitious like I am. You're going to start to feel that, and then that is going to reflect in your business and how you show up and in how people receive you. So success really requires big bold moves. And we really want to think about this from the perspective of a business owner. I feel like a lot of people kind of come into the online space or come into coaching or, being a quote unquote expert, but they're not necessarily in the mindset of a business owner, right? So it's just like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what's comfortable and keep doing what's safe. But I want you to shift that. I want you to really be like, okay, what would most people not do? Right? If you ask yourself, like, what would most people not do? Because if you're doing what most people will do, then you're just going to be normal. You're just going to be like everybody else. So if you want to break that funk, if you want to break that stagnation, you really want to think about, when can I just, like, what kind of move can I just make right now? Even if it feels a little bit scary, even if it feels a little bit risky, because that's essentially what this whole thing is about, right? And if we can't bet on ourselves, I say this all the time, like, if we can't bet on ourselves, why would somebody else? If you are, hesitant in what you're doing, if you have doubt around what you're doing, why would somebody invest in you? Right. And it's like, it's almost like, well, maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know that I hesitate. Maybe they don't know that I have this, um, a little bit of doubt, right? But they do. And it's all energy and it's all frequency. So, what I want you to do today, and I am going to give you kind of like an actionable tip if this is something that plagues you, if you're like the anti risk taker, what I want you to do is to make one decision today that pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be like massive life changing right now, but it does have to be something that you normally would avoid, or maybe you would say no to because it feels too risky and because it feels too scary. Okay. And a question that I want you to also ask yourself to kind of see, is this you? Do you have this first hidden blocker? Is, what is one opportunity? Think about an opportunity that you had, whether it was in the last month, in the last year, where you knew that making this move or making this decision could have changed your life, your business, your lifestyle, and you hesitated and you didn't do it and you didn't say yes. And if you look back at it, you're like, "Ah, I kind of regret not saying yes," right? Or maybe that opportunity just disappeared. It was taken by somebody else. Just even little things like, I think of times where I'm like, oh, I want to invest in something. And it's like on early bird or something. I'm like, oh, I want to invest in it because, it's got, this price on it. And then by the time I actually make the decision, it's like 3 times more money, right? It's so funny because that actually just happened to me. And it doesn't like exactly fall in here, but it's an example that I want to give you guys. I was working with a woman. She was actually a client. She did branding, and at the time her packages were 25K for like a full rebrand, and I was like, very cool, like that's freaking awesome, right? At the time I wasn't looking to rebrand, but I just reached out to her recently and I was like, hey, what are your packages like? I'm thinking about rebranding in 2025. So she sends me her rebrand package, and her rebrand package is now $100,000. So it's a 6-figure investment now, which I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I can do that, right? Maybe at the 25K, but at the 100K, wow. So by not taking that action back then, I actually lost money or lost an opportunity, to have something at that particular price. So that's just a little bit of an example, but I do want you to think about an opportunity that, that could have changed your life, that could have changed your business, and you said no, and now you regret it. That is because of that risk aversion. Alrighty. So already, for those of you who have not been on my master classes, I always just go straight to the heart of things. Like there is no fluff. Like we are getting down and dirty, and I'm calling you out like immediately. So that was only number one. So let's get into number two. And number two, I feel like is something that plagues entrepreneurs a lot, especially because we invest in ourselves. We buy courses, we get education, we get certifications. Like we, want to be better. Like it's just in our nature to want to grow, to elevate, to have things, right? And this one is honoring sunk cost. So literally holding on to what no longer serves you. And so many people do this. I can't even tell you how many conversations that I've had with people who are like, I want to join your mastermind, or I want to join your one-on-one, or I want to work with you, but I'm in another mastermind. And, my question is always like, well, if you're in another mastermind, why are you even looking at mine, right? If you had what you wanted in the programs that you're investing in, why are you still seeking? And so for me, what this really boils down to is honoring sunk costs. So many people are kind of stuck in a payment plan, or stuck in a program, or stuck in something where they feel like I can't add anything else, or I'm going to give whatever I can to this, even though I know it's not working. And it really just wastes time, to be honest. And it kind of also goes back to the risk aversion because, for me, I feel like that is probably part of, big part of my success is that I've always just kept it moving. Like as soon as I've known that something was not working for me or wasn't going to work for me, I pulled myself out. Even if I still had to pay for it, even if I was still making payments, even if I couldn't get a refund, I would just be like, oh, well, I guess that's the cost of doing business, but I need to move on to something that is actually going to benefit me in a positive way, that is actually going to elevate me and is actually going to grow my business. So just because you've invested time, money, energy into something doesn't mean you should keep it if it no longer serves you, if it no longer is growing your business, it is no longer helping you in any way. So holding on to these bad investments, whether it's an outdated offer, a draining client, a failed strategy, a program that you're in that isn't working, these things will keep you stuck. And like I said, it really is like it's a time waste because it's like, oh, well, let me finish this out. Let me put another month into it, 6 months into it, a year into it. And then next thing you know, you're in the same spot next year as you were last year, right? And we don't want that. Like we want to grow. Again, we're entrepreneurs, we're experts, we're healers, we're people who want more out of our lives. We want to be better. We want to like have all the things, right? So why would you intentionally keep yourself stuck by holding on to what no longer serves you? The most successful entrepreneurs pivot fast. Like I said, I really do feel like this is part of the reason why I've been successful, is because the moment that I realized that, look, this thing isn't working anymore, I need to go, right? I need to go. I need to find something else that is. The easiest example of this, to give you an example of what this might look like, is a relationship. So it doesn't even have to do with business, right? But how many times have we been in a relationship where we know, like, okay, this is the end of the road. This relationship has been done. But because we've invested so much time, because we have so much history with this person, because we, like we've built something, we feel like let's just give it a little bit more, even though we know in our heart, in our gut, that this is no longer working for us. We still put more into it, and the next thing you know, again, it's 4 months later, 6 months later, 3 years later, and you're still in the same place. So again, successful entrepreneurs pivot fast, and it is your job really to stop clinging on to what's not working out of guilt, out of shame, out of obligation, because this is your business. This is your life. This is your livelihood. You need to let go and move forward. So I want to know from you, or I want you to ask yourself, you don't have to share it with me if you don't want to, But what are you holding on to in your business just because you've already invested in it, whether money, time, energy, skill, whatever that is, even though you know in your gut, you know in your heart, you know that deep down, this thing no longer works. So if this is you, write a number two down so you know as well that honoring sunk costs could be one of the things that is holding you back. So if that is for you, your actionable thing for today is audit your business. You probably already know. You probably already know just based on what I was saying. Like you probably have things that just came into your mind that you're like, oh my God, I'm doing that. But if you're unsure, audit the business, identify at least one thing, whether it is, something that you've invested in. Maybe it's a program that you have. Maybe it's an offer that you've put so much time and energy into, but now in 2025, you're just like that. I have just outgrown that offer. But oh my gosh, I put so much time and energy into it. So I'm just going to keep it, right? I'm just going to keep it and I'm going to keep putting it out there, even though you're no longer aligned with it. It could be that. It could be a marketing strategy. It could be a habit that you're doing in your business that is not serving you. One of the things that, from my personal perspective, like one of the things that's happening right now for me that is like a good example is Facebook. So Facebook was always a great place for me to grow my business. But since I lost my Facebook page last year, things have been different. I haven't been able to gain the kind of traction that I want to gain from that platform. And, for a long time, I'm just like, I just need to get rid of Facebook. But in my head, I'm like, I have so many connections. I have all of my content on there. It's just easy. It's just what I've been doing. So, it's like one of those things where you got to make that decision of like, is it even worth it for you to continue to put your time, energy, and effort into this thing? Or are you going to make that decision? Are you going to take that leap and commit to either pivoting in some way, changing it up so that it does align, or completely eliminating it? So if you are a number twoer and you love to honor your sunk cost, I want you to identify at least one thing and either eliminate it, get rid of it completely, make that decision, or change it so that it does align with you within the next week and make that decision for yourself. All righty. We're moving right on to number three of the hidden wealth blockers. So this one's a tricky one. This is a little sneaky one because it's actually helpful in a lot of cases. It's actually helpful, but it can be a detriment, especially if you are someone who kind of gets inundated with other stuff. If you have an open head center and you're like always like bringing in information, this one could definitely keep you stuck. And what it is confirmation bias. I actually did a little video on this not too long ago on my Instagram. But essentially, what the confirmation bias is that your brain is looking for proof for what you already believe. So your ingrained beliefs, the things that you automatically think are going to happen, you're literally going to see what you expect to see. So if you think that something is going to be hard, if that's like an ingrained belief in you, like, oh, it's going to be hard to charge, to raise my rates. Let's say it's going to be hard for me to raise my rates. People aren't going to buy at that rate. Guess what's going to happen when you actually make the decision to up your prices? Nobody's going to buy because it's literally like, well, this is what you believe. So we're going to give that to you. We are going to make sure that you have proof that what you believe is true. And this plagues so many people on so many different levels across so many different industries, across so many different topics, right? Even think about this in daily life or when it comes to politics or when it comes to relationships, like whatever it is that you ultimately really deep down believe, whether you are journaling otherwise or desiring otherwise, whatever it is that is like that ingrained belief is going to be true for you. So if you feel like high ticket buyers don't exist in your industry, then they don't, right? You're not going to find them. They're not going to come to you. You're not going to attract them because your beliefs literally shape your reality, whether you realize it or not. And this is definitely one of those subconscious things because it's just like, well, see, I told you so. It's like you're proving yourself right. You have to prove yourself right. But in a lot of cases, if it's holding you back, you need to find a way to prove yourself wrong. So if you believe that success is hard, if you believe scaling a business is hard, if you believe selling out your program is hard, it's going to be. period. If you believe that making money is easy, if you believe that attracting clients is easy, if you believe that, you know, anything is easy, it's going to be easy for you. So, like I said, it's always like, even if you are journaling about something and you're like, okay, I want these high ticket clients. I'm going to raise my rates, and my one-on-one's going to be sold out. My one-on-one's going to be, you know, on a wait list, right? And we are journaling and we're desiring, but deep down you're still feeling like that's not the truth, then that's what you're going to continue to get. And if you fall into this camp, if you're number threeer and you are, you know, in this place, this one I feel like is a little bit more work to rewire that belief, because you really have to figure out where that belief came from. Why do you even think that? You know, why do you think something is hard or easy? We always hear these things. Well, I always hear them around, you know, people will say, like, it's just as easy to manifest $10 as it is to manifest $10 million, right? If I said that to you right now, which I just did, it's just as easy to manifest $10 as it is to manifest $10 million. What is your instant belief? What is your instant thought? Your instant thought is probably like, that's bullshit. How? How is that even possible? Right? That's your instant thought. So that is what you believe. So of course, in your world, that's not going to be true, right? It's not going to be true. You know that you can manifest $10, but you have no idea that you can manifest 10 million. So if you could, if you could just have a clean slate, if you could start all over, what are the beliefs that you actually want to believe about your business, about your success, about money, about how money comes in and out of your life, about clients that are coming to you? I kind of want you to start this process. Like I said, if this is you, it is going to take a little bit more work because this is a little bit deeper. But I want you to start the process of rewriting the story. Rewriting the story. And one way for us to do this is to look at the evidence, right? So what's currently happening? So remember, the confirmation bias is what we believe, we see. That's what our reality is. So what I want you to do is to intentionally look for evidence of your success. So if it's a new inquiry, someone reaches out about your one-on-one, you get, you go to sleep tonight and you wake up and to a sale. That's evidence that is backing up a lot of the things that you already don't believe. So I want you to really pay attention. If this is you, pay attention, because a lot of these things, because they might be smaller, they're not like so in your face, you may overlook them and you might think it's just coincidence or it's not a big deal. So I really want you to, I would say, over the next 7 days, write down any and all evidence of success: small, big, tiny, huge, medium size, whatever. I don't care what it is. Again, new inquiries, people reaching out for one-on-one, client feedback, somebody just reaching out to get you on a podcast, someone saying yes to something that you did, sales, visibility wins, maybe you got something that go viral. I want you to really start to look at these things and like power those things up, power up that evidence. Train your brain to see proof that the money is coming, proof that the success is on the way, right? Because like I said, a lot of those things, like if it's too small, right? Like let's say you get 10 new people on your email list. You might be like, well, 10, that's such a small number. I'm not going to celebrate that. Why would I celebrate that? 10 people? I want it to be 100 people. So I want you to really just pay attention to all of the little things and start to make that your reality. Make that the things that you're focused on, so that you can start to see proof of what you ultimately want to believe when you rewrite that story. All right, so we're just moving and grooving here. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can pop them here in the chat. If you're watching the replay here, I would also love to hear from you. I know I'm going to be sending this out to a lot of people. Your needs versus wants. So this is a tricky one. This is an interesting one. Number 4, which is essentially operating from a scarcity mindset. So if you are only ever investing in yourself or making moves or doing the thing because you have to do it, right? Or you need to do it, and never in like a desire place, then you're going to constantly stay in this survival mode, right? Because it's just like, oh, well, I need to do this thing because this thing needs to work. This thing like has to work for me right now. And, I got to pay my rent at the end of the month, or I got to pay whatever. I got to sign up for this thing, right? So it's like you're coming from this lack place. And a lot of times we don't even realize that we're coming from a lack place. We want to shift our needs and the things that we have to do, we want to actually turn those into desires, something that's going to fuel us. And I want to make a side note here also that wanting sometimes also falls into lack mindset. Because if you want something, you're ultimately saying, like, I don't have it, right? So if I want a new car, I want a new car because I don't have a new car. I might have a beater. I might have, a clunker. I might have no car at all, right? So if I want something, it still sometimes comes from a lack place. So you want to also shift anything that's a want more to a desire. Like this thing is going to elevate me. This thing is going to help me grow. This thing is going to put me, right where I want to be. And let that vision or let that desire really pull you versus you pushing like, I need this thing. I got to have this thing. I want this thing, right? It's a completely different energy than like, of fucking course, this thing's gonna happen for me. And of fucking course, I say yes to this thing because this thing is what's gonna elevate me. This thing is what's gonna help me grow. This thing is what's gonna expand me in ways that I've never experienced before. So let that pull you, right? Let that be fuel versus like grabbing at straws like, oh, this thing's gotta happen, right? Or I need this thing, because need is really yucky in the frequency field. Like need is like, it's like uh, like it's just yucky. It's a yucky funky feeling. So if you're always in that need place and you're also making decisions from that need place, you want to make sure that you are shifting that as well, because your business is essentially reflecting all of that. So again, if you're making decisions, especially financial decisions based on a need or a have to and never on a desire, like you're always going to be in this cycle of that. Just drink some water here. This is also reflecting in how other people are going to invest in you. I really do believe that the people that we attract, the people that are in our world, most times, not all, but most times, they have very similar buying styles to us. They have very similar values, very similar ways of thinking. That's what makes them attracted to us in the first place, right? So if we're hesitant to invest in ourselves, how can we expect our audience to confidently invest in us? Right? So it's all cyclical here. It's all a circle. So what and who we be is going to be reflected in the outside world. All right. So for this one, if you're in this place where you're just like always making decisions from survival mode, always making decisions from need, always making decisions from a lack place, I want you to ask yourself, how would your business look different if you invested in growth the way that you expect your clients to invest in you? This is a really powerful question. This is a huge, powerful question. And outside of just like shifting your mindset and you getting a breakthrough on today's call, this can actually be used in your own business. So if you are like writing a sales page or an email or wanting someone to invest in your one-on-one, like answering this question will really give you a lot of information. It will really give you a lot to work with that you can then bring into your own business. So how would your business look different if you invested in growth the way that you expect your clients to invest? This is another thing that I'm not going to be talking about today, but I actually call it investment alignment. I got this concept from one of my coaches years and years ago, Jesse, and he would always say that. Now, this is not, I do want to say, side note, that this is not always true for every industry. But for the most part, if you're in some kind of healing, coaching, expert consulting, we want to make sure that we are in investment alignment. Meaning if I don't believe that spending $5,000 or $10,000 for a mastermind or $15,000 for coaching, if I don't believe that it's worth it enough for me to do that, how the hell can I expect somebody else to think that same way? Right? However, if it's like, no, I've done this. I've invested in myself like crazy, which I personally have. And so I know like I'm not going to expect someone to see coaching or see investing in me in a way where they're like, yeah, I am willing to spend this kind of money. I'm willing to invest this kind of money if I myself personally would never even go there. So that's just something to think about. And I'll repeat the question again. How would your business look different if you invested in growth the way that you expect your clients to invest in you? This is a huge one. So your action step, if you have fallen into this category, is to choose one area of your business where you've been holding back out of fear. Maybe it's hiring someone, hiring a VA, hiring somebody to rebrand, which is what I just talked about, mentorship. Maybe it's launching something different, launching something bigger, getting into a different field. And I want you to make a move today that aligns with that CEO that you want to become. Like, do the big, scary thing. Do the thing that, like, just feels like exciting, but it still feels like it's going to be okay, right? So don't talk yourself out of it. I want you to make a move today. Again, just like with the other example, it doesn't have to be a big, massive, like crazy thing, but something that feels a little bit scary, something that feels a little bit risky, something that maybe you've been putting off for a while. And I want you to make that decision. I'll give you a quick example of this before we move on to number five. But one of the things that I wanted to do for 2025 was to just elevate how I show up and my perception, like, or how other people perceive me, I should say. And one of the things that I decided was like, I don't want shitty Zoom calls as like my videos. I don't want these like, fuzzy videos, interviews, things like that. So one of the things that I have made a decision to do is to invest in a podcast space, which is an in-person podcast. It's got full production. The cameras are insanely incredible. Like the quality of the video is like night and day compared to like, hey, let me just record on Zoom. Right. Another thing is even just now, like we're still working on this, but we're elevating, even the master classes that I'm hosting here, like how can they look better? We got to get new lighting. We got to, get a microphone. We got to make sure that we have this set up so that even from if somebody's scrolling and they're looking, they're like, oh, okay, this is like a fuzzy video, whatever. This person's just like doing this in their car. They're doing this in their house. Cool. We can do that stuff. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that when you come across a high quality video in your social media, you automatically think like, okay, this person knows their shit. They have an elevated brand, that they are investing in themselves, right? Like you just automatically feel that. So for me, this is just an example of one of the things that we've decided to do because we want in 2025 to like completely elevate the brand. All righty. Hopefully you guys are still with me. We are about halfway through, almost, because I actually did add that bonus one. So I'm going to kind of speed this up because we're already at 12:40 and I want to really respect your time. But I want you to understand these things as well. And I want you to really see like, no wonder why you're busting your ass. No wonder why you're showing up every single day. You're being visible. You're doing the things. You're investing in yourself, but it's still not reflecting back where you know that you should be right now. And it's in one of these 10 things, if not multiple of these 10 things. So the fifth thing is your environment. This is huge. Huge. So not only like your physical environment, because yes, that does matter. Like, for example, like I live here in Philly right now. Looks like a nice day. But tomorrow it's gonna snow. It's gray all the time, especially in the winter. So to combat that, like I have to go travel. I have to get myself out of the space. Sometimes I will even go to like, maybe it's a staycation. I will go to a beautiful hotel lobby and go work in the beautiful hotel lobby instead of my apartment. And my apartment's nice. I love my apartment, but sometimes we got to shake it up. Sometimes we got to get out of that environment. But not only the physical environment that you're in, also who you are spending the most time with. We hear this all the time, but I really feel like this is super underrated, right? Because your income is literally a reflection of the people that you spend the most time with. If your circle is normalizing struggle, burnout, undercharging, not ever having enough money, if you are, constantly having conversations with your girlfriends like, "Oh, I don't know why this is not working for me," or, how can I do this? And you're always complaining, and you guys are just kind of like in this circle, like, you know, normalizing the bullshit, you're going to perpetuate the bullshit. So you will literally subconsciously keep yourself at that level of who you are around. This is why mentorship is really, really important. This is why masterminds and having like business best friends are super, super important, because who you're around and your environment absolutely plays a huge part in what you're able to do. Success is contagious, right? But so is scarcity. So if everybody around you is broke or broke minded or lack minded or negative, even if you're not, you're going to be subconsciously pulled into that BS. So you definitely want to evaluate. This is huge. I mean, I would do this no matter what, even if you're like, oh no, everything's cool. I feel like at all times we are wanting to elevate and upgrade our circle. And when we do that, the business will follow your income. The question that I want you to ask yourself for this particular hidden wealth blocker is, if your income was directly tied to the 5 people that you currently right now today spend the most time with, would that be a good thing or a problem? And your action step, if this is you, where you're like, I know I need to completely change my environment. If you can't, not all of us can just pick up and move to another country. Not all of us can pick up and move to Hawaii or Florida, right? Even if you feel like it's your physical environment, what can you do to spruce it up? Can you rearrange the furniture? Can you get some like luxury looking items from Amazon and like elevate the space? Like, there's little things that you can do if you can't make an immediate change or make an immediate cutoff to certain people either. So let's say maybe the people that you're around are like, I don't know, your husband or your mom or somebody that's close to you that you're like, well, I'm not going to cut that person out of my life just because they have a lack mindset, right? Like, these are my people, this is my family. But what you can do is not necessarily having to cut those people off, but just don't engage in those conversations. And at the same time, start to bring in new people. Start to, like I said, masterminds are a great way to do this because you can tap into people who are already elevated and already doing the thing. So, again, the question is, if your income was directly tied to the 5 people you spend the most time with, is it good or is it bad? And your actionable takeaway is find one person, one group, community, whatever that is operating at the level that you want to be, and start engaging with it. Even if you don't invest in it right away, start engaging, start putting yourself in there, join the mastermind, attend an event, or even just start a conversation with someone who has more success than you, or whose vision or what they have going on in their life like stretches you. This is, like I said, I feel like this is one of the ones that is like kind of underrated, but it makes a huge, huge, huge impact. Alrighty, moving right on to number 6. So this is another one that I personally have dealt with throughout the wow, almost 12 years. Now I think it is 12 years of my business, is being in limbo or stagnation. So we talked about stagnation earlier, but really being in like this limbo place or making very slow decisions, because that is costing you. I really feel like when you're in a place of being unsure, being doubtful, being an indecision, it's literally gonna keep you stuck in the mud because you're not making a move either way, right? This could be, again, going back to some of the examples that we had, like maybe you're like in limbo of, hiring a team member. and you're just like, "Ah, I don't know, maybe I should wait until I make more money in my business, or what if it doesn't work out, like it didn't work out with the last person," and then you just have this thing like looming over your head. Like, to me, this is what that feels like it's this thing that's just like, okay, we're just going to keep you here, we're just going to keep you stuck, right? Like, you're not moving either way, you're just kind of like indecisive. And indecision is a decision. It's just not a good one. So if you hesitate every time you make a move, you're literally leaving money on the table. You're literally leaving thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands on the table while you're in that limbo. The most successful entrepreneurs literally don't wait. They don't wait until it feels safe. They trust themselves, they trust their gut, and they make the move that they know is going to be the decision that's going to change their life. And they just do it. So the faster that you make these aligned decisions, the faster you're going to grow in your business. The question for this one, if you feel like, yep, this is me, I am always in limbo, I am always in indecision, I'm always going back and forth, I'm always trying to decide. Again, remember, I said this doesn't always have to be in your business. This could be something that's happening in your personal life, or happening in a relationship where you're like, maybe you're, in a relationship and you're like, I know I need to leave this relationship, but you don't want to yet, or you haven't made that decision yet. So that whole time, you're just literally stuck in the mud. You're literally going to stay right where you're at. So the question for you would be, how much money have you not made this year? Well, we might not go this year because we're only a month into it. But how much money have you not made in the last year, let's say, because you waited too long to take action? An example of this could be what I talked about before too, which is, my client that does the branding, and at the time it's $25,000, now it's $100,000. So I was like, whoa, I could have saved myself $75,000. Not saying that I'm going to do that either way, yes or no, but the thing is, if I made the decision then, it would have been done. I would have invested my 25K and I would have that right now, right? So, how much money have you not made or lost in the past year because you waited too long to take action? All right. So, your action, if this is you, if you are someone who is, has a hard time making decisions, I want you to set a 48-hour rule for your business decisions. 48 hours is pretty small. So if you're feeling bold, it could be 48. You might be like, okay, maybe it needs to be 72 hours, or maybe it's 5 days. You don't give yourself more than 5 days to say yes or no to something. And here's the thing, like, the decision isn't always yes. The decision a lot of times is no. But then you're like in that limbo, right? So for me, it's like, make the decision, yes or no. Or really, yes, not right now. Yes or not right now. Because yes is obviously yes, I'm going to go, I'm going to take action, I'm going to do the thing. But no isn't always no forever. It just might be no right now to get yourself out of that indecision, to get yourself out of that limbo and that stagnation. So from now on, if you have a decision that you're going to make, or you're presented with an opportunity, or something is going to happen, give yourself no more than whatever the time frame that you just decided, and then commit fully. And I would say that, like, don't make the time frame like a month or 6 months. Like, the time frame, 48 hours, 72 hours, 3 days, like whatever feels most aligned with you. But have that be like what I call your one of your personal policies in your business. Like, anytime I'm presented with an opportunity, or anytime I am thinking about doing something or thinking about making a move, I make my decision within X amount of time. And that's just something that you start to live by and operate by. Alrighty, moving along to number 7. I'm gonna try to get this done for you guys in the next 20 minutes, so we might go a little past 1 o'clock. But I'm gonna try to get these done for you. And then if there's any questions, we'll answer those. If not, we will just wrap it up. And I hope you got huge breakthroughs from this. I hope that you are actually looking at this like, holy crap. No wonder. No wonder. No wonder I've been doing all this work, showing up, doing all the things, following all the rules, but it still hasn't happened. And then, like I said, once you break this, Once you, one, recognize it, mitigate it, break it, then you can really start to open yourself up to receive more, to expand more, and to really get to that place that you ultimately want to be. Alrighty. So number 7 is mixed signals. This is something that we do, well, I do, and probably you do a lot, a lot. Saying yes when you want to say no, saying no when you want to say yes, saying that you want to like maybe elevate your client base, or you want to change your program, or you want to change your price, or you want to do something in your business, but then your action is the opposite. So essentially what you're doing is you are sending mixed signals out to the universe. So it doesn't know. Well, I don't know. I don't really know what you want, because you say you want $1 million business, but you're not acting that way. You say that you want an elevated client, but you keep creating content for that old client that you no longer want to serve. So if you keep accepting things that you don't actually want, so if you say, I want this thing, but what you do is the opposite of that, you're going to continue to block the things that you do want, whether that's low ticket clients, underpricing your services, draining commitments, saying yes to things that are not aligned. You're basically saying no to the things that you want. And this is also especially important when it comes to money, as it relates to money, because a lot of people will want something, but then look at their bank account and say, nope, can't do it. So, yes, you want it. Yes, the desire is there, but your bank account just dictated for you to do and make a decision complete opposite of what you actually want. I see it happen all the time. It's happened to me in the past. Now, not so much. I've made it another personal policy of mine to like, I will never again say yes to something that I do not want to do. I will not say yes to something that I want to say no to. And I will never say no to something that I really want and really desire because of money. And those are just decisions that I've made for myself. And that is how I operate as a business owner. Because again, if you're saying yes to something that you don't want, where does the thing that you do want have time to kind of fill in the blanks, right? Every yes that's isn't aligned is a no to something better. Stop sending mixed signals. If you want it, go for it. If you don't, say no, thank you, and stand on that. Stand on business, as they say, right? Say no to what doesn't serve you, what doesn't excite you, what doesn't light you up, so that you can say yes to the right opportunities. So if you're one of these people who desires, wants, and sees the things that you ultimately, your vision, but then your actions are doing something different, ask yourself, where in your business are you saying yes to the things that you actually resent doing and no longer want to do? Powerful, very powerful. Because again, when we are giving our time, energy, and effort to something that is no longer serving us, we don't have the room to expand. We don't have the room for the things that we really do want. So, your action step, if this is you, I want you to set a boundary today. Identify one thing. Again, doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be massive, just one thing that you have been tolerating, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your life, whether it's, taking super extended payment plans when you don't want to, whether it's taking phone calls from clients on the weekends or at 9 o'clock at night because that's the only time that they can do it, whether it's going back and saying yes to a client that you know is going to be the biggest pain in the ass, but you need the money. I want you to find one thing, identify one thing, and start to take steps to remove that completely. It may not be able to be done in one fell swoop. Maybe it is, but at least start to take the steps to, okay, I found that this is the thing that is really holding me back, and I'm going to eliminate that. All righty. These are so good, guys. These are so good. It's like our mind is a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. And it really dictates everything, our energy, our frequency, how we show up, how people perceive us. And it's again these things that like they're just happening in the background. They're just happening, running programs all day long, and we don't even realize it because we are masking it with what we're doing and following the rules and showing up. This is why the mindset work is so important. This is why the inner work is so important because this is the work that when you do it will actually grow your business, your life, your lifestyle, your bank account by leaps and bounds. Way more and way faster than any strategy could. Not saying strategy is not important. Obviously, we know that that is important. But if you are, following all the rules, but you have bullshit running the show behind the scenes, it's not going to work. So number 8 is your old beliefs and inflated stories. Again, things that are just programs running in the background. Your financial habits, your fears, like all of this stuff. I want you to know too that this didn't start with you. A lot of the things that you may believe about certain things, especially when it comes to money, especially when it comes to success, especially as a woman, our traumas, they're running the show. They're dictating everything. But the reality is, it most times didn't even start with us. It's stuff that's been inherited. It's stuff that's been passed down from our family, from our experiences. So maybe something happened one time, and instead of looking at it like, okay, that was a one-time event, like that thing, it happened and it's never going to happen again. What we'll do instead is be like, oh my gosh, this thing happened, and this is my story now. And we wear that like a badge of honor. Like, this is my story now. We inflate it and we basically make a mountain out of a molehill. We make our like behavior, or we make a story out of a one-time event. How many times have you done that? Maybe you have some outdated beliefs about what you believe is realistic, about what you believe success means, about what it means to have a lot of money, especially as a woman. Maybe you have some money trauma that you've been carrying around that, again, maybe it wasn't even yours. When I first started doing this work, when I first started doing the inner work and the mindset work, one of the things that I really discovered was all the bullshit beliefs that I had around money. Rich people are bad. If you have a lot of money, you're not a good person, or you must have had to scam somebody in order to do that, or women aren't supposed to be successful. Women are supposed to be in the kitchen, and ambitious women or masculine women aren't going to ever get a man. Like all of these like weird things, right? They weren't even mine. A lot of them were my dad's. Very strong traditions, very strong beliefs. And then what I started to tell myself was like, how am I basically living my life through this belief from someone who isn't even living in my current reality? That just doesn't make sense to me. The beliefs that my parents had about money, about rich people, they didn't have the opportunities that I have right now. My parents were born in the 1950s. I guess they had to strap something on their feet and walk themselves 7 miles in the snow, right? Like that was their belief. That's their thing. And they pushed that, onto us. And once I realized that, I was just like, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit, because my parents didn't have the internet. My parents didn't have this incredible industry of coaching and healing. They're also running off of outdated beliefs from their parents. So anything that you feel like is like an outdated belief, an old belief, maybe a story that you've just made a mountain out of a what is it, anthill? I don't know if that's even a saying, but you've basically just created this story around. I want you to look and really see, what are you telling yourself? Is it true? And is it yours? Because you weren't born with limiting beliefs. You learned them. How did you learn them? Where did you learn them? Where did you get that from? Because if you learned it, if it's a learned behavior, you can unlearn it and you can replace it with something that's going to serve you way better. So if this is you, if you know you have these negative, outdated programs running in the background that have been passed down that are not even yours, I want you to think about at least one belief about money that you inherited from your family, from your parents, maybe even from a spouse, that is still dictating your financial decisions today. All right. All right. Excuse me. I'm a little sick getting over my cold here. All righty. How are we feeling? We have two more. Your action step. If this is you, if you know you're running on these old programs, I want you to rewrite the beliefs. So pick at least one. If this is really you and you want to go like deep, deep, deep with this, um, think of everything. I actually have my clients do this in some of my other programs. Like I'm literally like think of everything, every situation, every experience, every conversation that you've had around money, around success, around like whatever, like write it all down and then rewrite that belief. But for today, pick at least one for this week, rewrite the belief. If you have grown up hearing like making money is hard, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Where'd that one come from? Because I don't know, money is paper, paper is trees, right? Replace it with the belief that you want to believe. So, for example, if making money is hard is the program that's running, shift it to money flows to me with ease. Money is always there for me. I always have more than enough. If you used to hear rich people are greedy or rich people are bad, that was one that I heard all the time growing up. I didn't understand it at the time, obviously. But once I started doing this work and I realized that I was like, oh shit, where did that come from? Do I even really believe that? I don't. So if that's the program, if your program is rich people are greedy, rich people are bad, replace it with money allows me to create a massive impact in this world. Money allows me to do and be all of the things that I want. Money allows me to have the lifestyle that I desire for myself, for my kids. Money allows me to be a great role model for my kids and gives them everything that they need. So just start to rewrite the beliefs. For me, this is best done daily on the journaling. Journaling is one of the things that I feel like has really like completely changed my life. And I am just infusing new beliefs, rewriting new stories consistently and constantly. So let's move on to number 9, identity misalignment. Huge, especially as entrepreneurs, especially as you're growing as an entrepreneur. We have certain identities that we tie ourselves to. Let's say you're making the shift from an employee. You've always been an employee. You've always gotten paid 9 to 5. You've always gone into work and worked 40 hours a week. To go from that to just even being self employed or working for yourself or working from home, that's a big transition, right? Two completely different identities. And a lot of times people will continue to operate off the old identity while they're trying to grow the new one. And it doesn't make any sense because it's completely misaligned. If you think about in business, like where I got stuck was like 6 figures, right? I see a lot of people get stuck at 6 figures. They're able to push through, hit that first 6 figures. Then they get to the 6 figures and they're like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to do more of what got me here. And that doesn't work. Because if you want multiple 6 figures, high 6 figures, millions, that's a completely different identity. So identity misalignment is number 9. Essentially, you're playing small when you're meant for way more. And funnily enough, because I just said your first 6 figures, that's my book. I'm just sitting right here. This, if I were to rewrite this book, or I guess write a second book, it would be your first 7 figures. But what I talk about in here is completely different than what I would talk about in book number 2. It's not just do more of this. This is powerful. But in order to shift to that new identity, it requires a completely different mindset, belief, actions, habits, decisions. Your business won't outgrow the version of who you created it or of who you were when you created it. So if you're still acting, thinking, operating from that past self, your income is going to stay at that level. So those of you who are plateaued and you're like, I was able to break three. I was able to get my first 10K month. I was able to have multiple 10K months, but I just can't seem to break through. Where's that 15K month? Where's that 20K month? Where's that 30K month? It's not going to happen because you're still operating from that 10K a month person, right? Or the person that's trying to get to 10K. So in order to make more money, you really have to embody the version of someone who already has it. And this is kind of a tough one because, again, if you don't fully believe that I am that next level version of myself, there's gonna be a push pull. This is why embodiment is so important as well. And I work on this with my clients because we really have to be that person. Like I said, the habits, the decisions. Would you be doing a lot of the stuff like let's just use this as an example. If you were at 100K right now, let's just say you're 100K right now, close to around barely 100K right now, and your vision is to be at 500K. You at 500K. Think about visualize you at 500K. Would you still be doing the same things that you're doing right now? Now, obviously, some of the stuff, yes. But are there certain things where you're just like, oh, hell no? Hell no. If I was already at 500K a year, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be doing this differently. I'd be hiring this person. I'd be doing this. You need to do those things. You need to go do those things right now because that's how you embody it. That's how you get to the next level. If you stay doing the same things that got you here, you're not going to get there. It doesn't work that way. So you really have to put yourself into that place. Who is that version of you that already has it? She's already there. She's already successful. She's already killing 500K years on her way to million dollar years. What would she be doing on a daily basis? What habits would she have? These are the things we really want to think about. Like an example of this, like an easy, like to grasp example would be like, let's say you want to lose weight. Okay. I want to lose like, I don't know, 20 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. What do I got to do? Right. Like that's automatically what I'm thinking. Okay. Well, I have to diet. Probably have to get my ass in the gym. Maybe I have to quit sugar. But the person who's already there doesn't even think that way. Right. The person that is already there is already in the gym. They just have a habit of being in the gym every day. They have a habit of drinking nothing but water. They have a habit of, portioning their meals or planning their meals. That's just who they are. That's why they have the result that they have. So the same thing works with your business. So if I'm just going to sit here and be like, well, I want to lose weight, but I don't really embody the habits and the decision making of somebody who's already at that goal weight, there's always going to, again, be that push pull. It's not really going to happen for me. Because why? Success, whether it's personal, your body, your weight, your money, whatever that is, it's not only about what you do. It's about who you become in the process, who you are, how you act, which is the whole reason why I wanted to host this masterclass. All right, so if this is you, if you feel like you have some sort of misalignment in your identity, if you feel like you're playing small when you know like you're capable of so much more, so much more. Question that I want you to ask yourself is if you were already making the amount of money that you dream of, what's one thing that you would stop doing immediately? So if you were already there, Name at least one thing. You probably come up with a lot more, but at least one thing that you would stop doing immediately, like full stop. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sure you can think of a few things. Now, your action step is to start to embody that next level self today. Shift your pricing. What would your pricing be if you were already there? What would your messaging be if you were already there? How would you operate in your daily life if you were already there? Would your branding be up leveled? The way you talk about your business, would that be up leveled? If somebody asks you about your business and you're like, "Oh, yeah, it's going okay." Or are you going to be like, "My business is changing lives. I get to work with the most incredible, amazing women, and I get paid handsomely to do so." Like, really think about it. How are you speaking about yourself? How are you speaking about your business? What do you really believe? What are you embodying? That's the identity shift. Now, the identity shift does take time. It takes time. It's not going to happen in one day. But you can start making the little steps. Start taking those micro moves to make that happen. And identity is something that we dive deep into in my mastermind because it is so important. It's not just about growing the business. It's not just about making more money. It's like who are you being? How are you showing up? And being able to fully embody and embrace that. And then you just become that. And then it just becomes normal. Alrighty. So we are on the last one, and I won't keep you guys much longer here. Number 10. Bonus number 10. Not making moves. Hesitating. This is almost kind of a combination of all of the 9. But I wanted to put this in here because you might say you want the breakthrough. You might say you want the next level income. You might say you want the thinner body, the better relationship, whatever it is. But are you actually making the moves towards that thing? A lot of times we just get stuck in the want. Remember when I talked about the wants? It was at like number 6 or 7. And it's like you're still operating from that place of lack though when you want it, right? What are you actually doing? Don't have to do everything in one go, everything in one shot, but like what are the little moves that you can make to move you towards that? Every time you hesitate on raising your prices, hesitate on launching a product, hesitate on really owning what you're doing in your business, hesitate on investing in yourself, you're literally pushing success further away because you're like, nope, I'm saying that I want it, but I don't really want it. So just stay at arm's length. I always used to say that. Like if you're saying like I want something, again, it's because you don't have it. So if you're constantly in want, you're like, hey, I can see it. It's over there, but it's like it's an arm's length away and it always will be. You actually have to make the moves. You actually have to make the decisions. You actually have to do the damn thing. And the crazy part is that a lot of people won't, choose not to. But when you choose to make these moves, you're going to see a huge difference in how you perceive and see yourself and how other people perceive and see you and your business. And you're going to start to see the results of all of that work that you've been putting in, right? So when I say make the moves, I'm not talking about like go do a live stream today or make a post. You're already doing those things. You have to make the big moves, the risk, the decisions, the investments as the person who already has it. You can't say that you want this massive success while making small moves. It doesn't work that way. Remember? All right. So as we wrap up, if you're in this place and this space where you find yourself just like not taking the action, not making the moves, what's one thing that you've been talking about doing for months, maybe even years? You're like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to hire a VA. I'm going to jump into this mastermind. I'm going to get this podcast space. I'm going to start my YouTube channel. Like whatever it is, I'm thinking of all things that I held off for months and months and months, sometimes years. So what's one thing that you've been talking about doing but you still haven't taken action on. And obviously, your actionable takeaway for today is to make or take one imperfect action today. Whatever that thing is, make the decision, take the action on it, say yes to yourself, elevate your offer, raise your prices, reach out to somebody that maybe feels risky to reach out to, make the investment, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, the people that are winning, the people that are the most successful are the most courageous. They're the most brave. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to make the move. All right. So that was all 10. It's supposed to be 9. But that was all 10 of your income blockers. Now, again, I'm going to assume that more than one of these is probably running in the background for you. So I want you to identify what those are. I want you to create awareness around it, like a hyper awareness around it, so that you can mitigate it and you can change it and you can shift it. So whatever those things are, hopefully it's not all 10, although all 10 of them I have experienced throughout the last decade, not all at the same time. So I'm assuming you're not experiencing all 10 at one time. So what's currently going on right now? What's currently holding you back? What are these subconscious things that are keeping you stuck? And I want you to really evaluate this. Now, what I would love for you to do is to come into my mastermind. So if you are looking to fix this, if you are looking to elevate to that next level, the Power Moves Mastermind is where that happens. You don't just get strategy from me. You don't just get the step-by-step processes. You don't just get the systems, although you do get all of those things. But you get the support around these things, these power moves, these needle movers, the things that are actually going to elevate your business, that are actually going to elevate you in like just crazy, amazing ways. So you can reach out to me and just DM me mastermind if you want to learn more. If you're on my email list, you've probably already gotten the link or gotten the offer. So you can go ahead and check that out. We kick off this week and it's going to be epic. Truly, truly, truly epic for the women that step into it. Say goodbye to the bullshit. Say goodbye to these old programs. Completely shift your identity and have unwavering support as you do it. So guys, I don't want to keep you here too long. It's already been an hour and 20 minutes, crazy. But I want you to really get something out of this. So if nothing else, pick one, work on that, make decisions from that. And I will see you guys in the next free training. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.